morning, everyone, and welcome to Startup Central. I'm Avan Dabash. This is the first and only daily show in India that's dedicated to startups and entrepreneurship. Well, let's take it straight to the big story, the big headline. And more than 4 days after the revelations of the massive data breach at Facebook, the company's CEO and founder, Mark Zuckerberg, has finally broken his silence. The 33-year-old entrepreneur stepped in to stem the damage, even as regulators across the globe have assessed the impact of the breach. Zuckerberg believes, and he's given interviews to several news organizations yesterday, he's apologized for the Cambridge Analytica data controversy, and that, remember, compromised personal user details of 50 million Facebook users. So Zuckerberg accepted responsibility for the social media giant's role in the data leak. He's vowed to even step up measures in order to protect user data. He's listed out a few measures that Facebook is going to take in order to prevent such scandals in the future, and said that Facebook is going to likely investigate apps which use the social media platform and might also go ahead and restrict developer access. So finally, he came out, he showed a lot of willingness to additional government regulation and said he is happy to testify before the US Congress. In fact, let's talk a little bit more in detail about the comments that came about from Mark Zuckerberg. Chandra Shrikant joins in with more details. Finally, Chandra, some commentary from Mark Zuckerberg. He's owned up, he said he's sorry. He's offered quite a long explanation, but the question is it good enough?
If you look at the response that we've got from Mark Zuckerberg, it really seems to be a case of too little too late, though it was a rather exhaustive post that spoke about the timeline of events, how this came about. It seemed a little simplistic to believe that they went by a certification provided by Cambridge Analytica and the researcher instead of doing an audit on this in 2015 when Guardian had flagged the issue to them. But in subsequent interviews, Mark Zuckerberg seemed a little more apologetic. He's also said that he will ensure that this doesn't happen in elections in India and Brazil, and also the midterm elections in the US. Remember, lawmakers across the Atlantic, US and UK, have asked Mark Zuckerberg to testify. He has agreed to that. He's also said that he's open to some level of regulation. So those are some of the steps that he's outlined. We really have to wait and see how this proceeds going forward.
Yes, indeed we do. But Chandra, what is Facebook going to do to ensure that this doesn't happen again? Because we're talking about data of 50 million users being compromised.
As far as the immediate steps are concerned, he's outlined three. The first of which will be restricted access to the app to user data for apps. The second of which will be restricted access to developers. He's also said that they will conduct audits of any suspicious apps on the platform. The third step is really what they are trying to do for users. They will enable a feature on top of their news feed very soon where you can go and check the app permissions you have given. Now remember, this is already embedded in the Facebook privacy settings, but you'll really have to look for it. But now it will be apparent in a more visible form for every user to really safeguard the data he or she has given to Facebook. So these are some of the near-term, short-term measures that Mark Zuckerberg has outlined.
Okay, thanks very much for giving us all of those details. Meantime, this has resulted in quite a political warfare. There was a Rahul Gandhi who went on to say that the party is linked in the Facebook data breach row, and he's accused the Modi government of inventing the Congress's role in the scandal, only to divert attention from the Indians that have been killed in Iraq. In his hard-hitting tweet, Rahul also took a swipe at the media for biting the bait. Gandhi said that the Congress was caught lying after it announced the deaths of the 39 missing Indians and cooked up the Congress's role in the Cambridge Analytica row. Remember, yesterday, Ravi Shankar Prasad had asked the Congress to explain Rahul Gandhi's association with the rogue data mining firm, which is at the center of the controversy. In fact, Ravi Shankar Prasad had yet again hit out at Rahul Gandhi, saying that he hires people who are involved in data theft activities. He went on to clearly confirm the Congress's strong links with rogue firms like Cambridge Analytica.
Rahul Gandhi, what is your problem? Why only you pick up people who are fiddling with data or are stealing data or are accused or held guilty of data theft? Couldn't you get a better person? That is the issue. And I see this kind of manipulated enhancement of Rahul Gandhi's social media profile is also because of the reason that these kinds of elements have become a part of the social media team. And the association of a gentleman who, as per your report, has been found to be guilty of data theft further reinforces our charge that a rogue social media company like Cambridge Analytica has been rightfully engaged by them because Congress party under Rahul Gandhi does not believe in fair and transparent means.
So when the Congress party comes out and questions you as the IT minister, as the law minister, when Rahul Gandhi says an attempt to divert from the issue of the 39 Indians killed in Mosul, but there are pictures of him with Praveen Chakravarti, he's welcoming him through his social media account itself. Therefore,
let Rahul Gandhi reply. Mr. Rahul Gandhi, what was the compulsion for you to engage the services of a gentleman who has been held to be guilty on data fraud in America?
Now that the Congress party is calling it fake news, they are coming out and saying that since the BJP has no issue in hand, they are raking up this issue. How long do you think that this allegation and counter allegations can even last?
This is neither allegation nor a counter allegation. This is a fact. Why did Congress party keep quiet for 5.5 months? They could have said, we are not using these services. I think the surrounding circumstances are too suspicious to reinforce the charge they did employ. But now, when they are in soup, they are seeking to come out of it by making a fake alibi.
Meantime, the Congress spokesperson Rajneep Surjewala, in his response to the law minister, called him a Jhoot Mantri, saying that the BJP is a manufacturer of lies. He also made a point to attack the centre, asking why the government has not lodged an FIR against the rogue data firm yet. He alleged to have proof that the BJP used Cambridge Analytica's Indian arm, the OBI services, in Jharkhand, Maharashtra, as well as the Haryana and Delhi elections. Let's listen in to the Congress's counter-attacks.
आज फिर कानून की बजाय उनका नाम बदलकर अब झूठ मंत्री रख देना चाहिए। हिटलर के एक सेनापति थे गोबल्स और अब आदरणीय मोदी जी के सेनापति हैं रविशंकर प्रसाद जी। तो झूठ मंत्री रविशंकर प्रसाद जी ने आज फिर एक पत्रकार वार्ता कर कल कांग्रेस के तथ्यों और साक्ष्यों का जवाब तो दिया नहीं, आज फिर एक नई पत्रकार वार्ता कर डाली। फ्रेंड्स, द BJP's daily encounter of the truth, both inside and outside Parliament, is being witnessed by the entire country.
In fact, let's hear out the Aadhaar architect Nandan Nilekani and Chris Gopalakrishnan, co-founder of Infosys, talking about how India needs to come up with a stronger framework when it comes to data laws.
I believe that India is very well placed on data. I think the infrastructure that we have created, which requires identity, authentication and so on, actually has made data more secure. You can have a structured way of releasing data. India will be the only country which will have a data empowerment architecture where people can make use of the data to advance their lives. And I think the forthcoming data protection law will play a big role in that. So I'm very confident that India will actually have a very good data privacy regime.
Crisis is the way or is the best opportunity to find a solution, right? I think it's high time that we found a solution to this problem of data ownership and how the data can be monetized, used, etc. So I would look at this as an opportunity for governments to come together and figure out what is the model that we need to use. And I go back to the model that has been established for centuries in some sense because of physical property, intellectual property. When printing came in, that's when the question of intellectual property really happened. And initially, the publisher used to own the right of the work, and later on, through legal framework, it was established that the author is the true owner of the.
Okay, let's delve into this issue in great detail. We have a guest joining in right now, Sunil Abraham. He is the Executive Director, Center for Internet and Society. He now joins in on the show. Thank you so much for taking the time out. To begin with, Sunil, finally, Mark Zuckerberg coming out, breaking the silence. He has acknowledged their role and vowed to take a lot of steps in order to ensure that this doesn't happen again. But the question is it too little too late?
Absolutely. The business model of Facebook is a business model based on what people call surveillance capitalism. This was not a bug, this was not a breach, this was not a leak. The Facebook system was designed to allow third-party applications run by firms like Cambridge Analytica to harvest not only my data, but also the data of the people on my friends list. So this is what Facebook was designed to do, and this is far too late for Facebook to pretend that they had no idea of what was going on.
Yeah, the system, as you said, was designed to ensure that, this would happen. Perhaps the scale of the entire blowout may have taken one by surprise. But Sunil, what really will this mean in terms of regulation? Is it really possible to control what happens on platforms of such scale? Are regulations in place to ensure that, such a disaster, if you will, is averted?
Absolutely. What Facebook and other internet giants have managed to do over the years is to undermine the business model for traditional media and for new media. What they have managed to do is construct a business model for fake news. We have to use two regulatory levers to go after them. The first, as Mr. Nandan Nilekani has pointed out, is the data protection law. We must have a data protection law that is similar to the GDPR in the European Union, and using a law like that, we can prevent such abuses from happening, such harvesting of personal information by third-party apps, or even control Facebook's voracious appetite for personal data. The second is we have to have updates to our competition law. We must give our competition regulator more teeth so that they can go after monopolies such as Facebook that have managed to hoover all the digital advertising revenue and make sure that these revenues come back to the real media organizations such as yourself that are in the business of producing real news, not actors that are in the business of producing fake news.
Let's talk back home, the situation. Do you think that the kind of data protection laws that we have back home could take care of a concern like this? One of the suggestions is also to allow criminal action for data misuse. Is that the need of the hour? Are our regulatory frameworks back home in place, or are we even worse off?
In Section 43 of the IT Act, it is not a comprehensive data protection law. It is merely what one will call a data security law. What this law allows you to do is to approach courts for remedy and redress if the personal data that has been breached or leaked or accessed in an unauthorized fashion is used to cause damage to your property or used to cause you financial harm. In this case, what has happened is individuals have been manipulated, democracy has been undermined. Those harms which emerged from the Cambridge Analytica episode cannot be addressed by our existing law, which is Section 43A of our IT Act.
Now, technically, what do people like you and me need to do in order to keep in mind, in order to be safe? Because what do we need to keep in mind while sharing information on the internet? Are securing just your privacy settings enough?
No, that's exactly the type of response that the lobbyists of Facebook and other internet giants want to hear. They claim that the principle of caveat emptor, or buyer beware will work. They claim that the consumer, through more training, education, better knowledge, greater transparency, will be able to protect her or his rights. This is completely false. When a child aged 4 tries to play Tetris on one of these platforms, the combined privacy policies of all the various ad networks that are harvesting the information from this child is slightly longer than the Lord of the Rings. So it is impossible for anybody to read these privacy policies and to protect themselves. In India, we have the added complication where 30% of our population is illiterate, only 10% of the population can speak English, and even out of that 10%, only a very small minority will be able to understand the legal obfuscation that is used in these documents. Therefore, we need a strong regulator to protect our rights and to protect our interests. It cannot be solved through education and self-regulation. That is not the path we should go through.
I really like the way you put it. Thanks so much then, Sunil, for giving us a sense as to what exactly the problem is when it comes to regulations, not just overseas but back home as well, and what really the need of the eye is in dealing with a problem of really such magnitude. On that note, all right. On that note then, we'll wrap it. We'll just take a quick break then right here on Startup Central. Be back. We've got lots more. In fact, we delve into the world of robots and talk to you about a robot that costs over 20 lakhs. What's so special? Find out when we return. Welcome back. This is Startup Central. Let's move away from all of the action on Facebook and time for some fun stuff. Rahul Dayama is covering the future event in Cochin, Kerala. And here are some of the interesting demos that he found. And yes, he met a robot yet again.
I have got another robot at this event. This is part of the Asimo robotics team. This is already deployed at a HDFC bank branch in Mumbai for quite some time and then shifted to a bank branch in Kochi. So this really is a service robot. The startup has been there for about 2.5 years now. So basically this robot can take voice commands, but owing to a lot of people around, we will not be able to put it to test. We will try and do that tomorrow. But in terms of service at a bank, when you walk in, there are FAQs that is queued into the system. So what it can do is answer in terms of where do you head to deposit your cash, whom should you be talking to for a particular query. The startup is also talking to some malls and hospitals also to place them, even at restaurants as a service robot. So interesting robot there that is really coming by. And let's talk to the founders really to understand what is really that the interest that has come by and what are they leading into. Thank you so much for talking to us. Tell us, how long have you been developing a robot of this nature? And I believe you've deployed them at a HDFC bank. What are the other places that you're looking to deploy?
Actually, from FinTech, after the launch of this robot in HDFC, there were a lot of inquiries. Around 27 financial organizations are in touch with us to buy this robot. Many of the discussions are in pipeline, like nothing is solidified. Apart from that, we are not just limited to FinTech. We are also looking at various sectors like healthcare. Healthcare is one of our key focus. That is also a social angle. So we are committed to make use of this technology for the betterment of humankind. So then another one is retail, another one is general hospitality, like in a restaurant and all.
But how much would it cost me? For example, if I want to deploy this at a restaurant that I own, how much will one robot cost?
That depends, because if it is a restaurant, we won't deploy exactly the same configuration, because a restaurant means you need to have just a mobile base which can be interactive, take orders and serve it. So we will cut down the complicated movements, and then we can sell it for, let's say, below 20 lakhs.
So at the display stall here at Hash Future, we found what HP has developed and it claims to be the world's first virtual reality backpack. It gives you a clear experience of how virtual reality really works. So I'll put the headgear on and you know, the backpack is really placed there. I can also have it behind me. And as you can see, this is a roller coaster ride that I can experience. So from a perspective about how, you know, this can also be used for other purposes like getting a 3D view of a factory of various products that you're developing. As you can see, it is indeed a nice experience in terms of clearly seems like a roller coaster ride. I'm sure all of us have taken some of these rides. So the experience with this chair also really gives out the perfect experience as far as VR is concerned. So clearly what happens from here on is that this can be used by companies. They've also developed one what's supposed to be a personal backpack if you're really walking by somewhere. Gaming industry is not something else also that they are targeting, and once you get a hang of it, it's very difficult to really resist. This really is the technology really on display here at #Future in Cochin.
Oh yes, indeed. That is technology at its very best. Thanks for that watching. With that, we're completely out of time on Startup Central.